guys, welcome back. This video is something that I have been thinking about for quite a while, and I'm really excited to try this in 2026. As you guys probably saw from last year, my book hauls were insane. Now, couple of things. First and foremost, I buy a lot of secondhand books. So even though I am buying a lot of books, I am saving money by buying them used, and I also think that I'm helping the environment by buying secondhand books instead of constantly buying new books and then people just throwing away old books. The other thing is, when we moved into this new space and I upgraded my library, I suddenly had room for books. Once I was able to buy the books, I bought the books. In 2026, I want to force myself to be more conscious of how many books I'm buying, but I also want to make sure that I am reading the books that I bought. I read a lot of books last year. So of the ones that I bought, I did read a good bit. I read mostly new releases last year, which means that obviously I had to have bought them to read them. They weren't just sitting on my shelf. But that means that the ones that were sitting on my shelf didn't really get read. Now, I'm not doing a book buying ban or anything like that. If I see a book that I want or that I need to complete a collection or something like that, I'm probably going to buy it. But I want to challenge myself to earn the books that I buy. And I'm going to do that through a game I call Roll for TBR. Now, this is tiny, I know. I printed it small so that it would fit into my reading journal. But this is the basic concept of the game. So step one is I'm going to roll a d10 to figure out what my challenge is for each month. And I'm going to call it a campaign. So I am going to roll the d10 to figure out how many books I need for that challenge to complete that month's challenge. So it could be one book, it could be 10 books. Now, that doesn't mean I'm only going to read one book. That just means that that is my challenge for that month. So after I determine how many books are going to be in that month's campaign, I'm going to roll a d4 to figure out how I'm going to pick the books. So the books can be figured out in one of two ways. So if I roll a 1, then I'm going to go with this list of prompts, and I would roll a d20 to figure out what the prompt is. If I roll a 2, then I'm just going to do format and genre. And so for that, I would roll a d6 to figure out the format, and then a d12 to figure out the genre. If I roll a 3, then I alternate those two methods, and if I roll a 4, I have to roll again. So if I'm doing prompts, this is what that would look like. So I would roll a d20 for every single book in that campaign. So if I rolled for 4 books, I would roll my d20 4 times. And then I would try to find a book that fit this prompt. So I can read off of my bookshelves, I can use the library, I can find books on Kindle Unlimited, I can use my credits on Audible. I just can't go out and buy the book. I have to find the book somehow free to me or through the use of like a subscription that I already have. Now, format and genre is going to be in some ways more limiting, but in some ways less. So format is going to be, if I roll a 1, I have to re-roll. 2 is hardcover, 3 is an audiobook, 4 is paperback, 5 is ebook, and 6 is a library book. And that does count for my public library as well as the Libby app. And I have to read it in that format. So if I roll a hardcover, I can't listen to the audiobook and that count for my campaign. And then genre, if I roll a 1, I get a disadvantage, and we'll talk about that in a minute. 2 is YA, middle grades. 3 is fantasy, mystery, historical, romantasy, horror, romance, thriller, a subscription book, meaning a book of the month or aardvark pick that I haven't read yet, sci-fi, or if I roll 12, I get advantage. Now, all of my subscriptions that I like physically have are going to be hardback. So if I were to roll audiobook subscription, that means that I would have to read one that I have on Audible, because I do have some books on there that I've bought in the past and then haven't read, so I'd have to read one of those. And then ebook, it would have to be something that I could find in Kindle Unlimited, because that is a subscription. So that's how I would get around that, only having hardback books from Book of the Month and Aardvark. For the prompts, if I roll a 1, that's a disadvantage. If I roll 20, that's an advantage. And then these prompts are going to change. I don't think I'll change them monthly, but maybe quarterly I'll come in and add some new things, because as I'm thinking, like, new things are coming to me. But 2 is a reread. So if there is a book that I'm rereading for that month, it would count for my campaign. Something cozy, a book you have been intimidated by, a 25 and 2025 book, which would be my bingo board from this year that I didn't get to all of them. A classic, something in a series, a special edition, and that also could just be like something with a sprayed edge, or just, one of my fancier books. Something you should have read already, so something like How I Read Little Women this year, because I haven't read it yet. Something that probably a lot of people have already read. A book under 300 pages, a book older than you, roll for 100, and we'll talk about that in a moment. 13 is you choose, so that's a free choice. Borrow from another TBR can be like going to find a TBR video and using a book off of that. 15 is blind pick a book, and so what that means is I'll just like close my eyes and just randomly grab a book off the shelf. I am going to say though that I am not going to jump into the middle of a series. So if I pick a book from in the middle of a series, instead of that one, I would just read the first book in that series or the next book in that series. So because I don't want to ruin my reading experience by just, jumping into the middle of a series or anything like that. A friend chooses a newer release, so maybe the last 2 or so years, I wouldn't go over that, would count for that. A book over 300 pages, a book by a favorite author, and then of course, like I said, disadvantage and advantage. So if on any of those things I roll disadvantage, some kind of a punishment, it comes into play. So for that, I would roll a d8, and number 1 is no new books for the month. So that means that I can't go book shopping for a month. Number 2 is return 1 advantage. So if I got an advantage and I'm saving that for like another campaign, I would have to return that. I have to make myself little cards. I haven't done that yet. Number 3 is roll to lose coin. So that's how I'm going to be earning my books, is by earning coins. We'll get to that in a moment. Add a book to the current campaign. So if I rolled for 7 books for the month, now I have 8, and I'll have to use whatever method I chose to pick the new book. First book on my Goodreads feed. So I'm just going to open up Goodreads, and whatever's there, I have to read that. Books earn half the coin for this campaign. So once I finish a book and roll whatever money I earn, I would actually earn half that much. Skip any anticipated reads for a month. So my 2026 anticipated reads, anything from 2025 that's rolling over that I really, really wanted to get to, I just have to skip any of those reads for a month. And that wouldn't be such a bad thing, because it would make me probably read some of the older things that I want to get to anyways. And then number 8 is add a nonfiction to the next campaign. And that's not necessarily a punishment, but more so to push me to read more nonfiction, because I do read nonfiction occasionally and I enjoy it, and that kind of just gives me a little bit of a nudge to do that. And these disadvantages can also change quarterly. As far as advantages, 1 is earn a reroll, which means that if I roll for a prompt that I don't like, if I have that advantage card, I can use it to re-roll. Roll for coin just means I immediately get to roll for coin to add to my purse. Negate a disadvantage. So if I've earned a disadvantage, like add a nonfiction to your next campaign, I can just put that back. I don't have to do that. Earn a free choice means that for the next campaign or whenever I decide to use it, I can use a free choice book instead of one of the prompts. Remove a book from the campaign. So if I rolled for 7 books, now I get to only read 6. Swap one prompt, genre, or format. So if I earn that and I roll for a classic and I just really don't want to read a classic, then I can switch. And also that means that I can pick. I don't have to, it's not a re-roll. I can pick which one. Double up prompts means that I can have one book count for multiple prompts in a campaign. And number 8 is just buy a new book. I earn a new book. So those are the advantages and disadvantages. I will have other ways to earn like my money for my books, and that is by doing side quests. And these are really and truly, these have nothing to do with reading. I can add some that are reading. These are just things that off the top of my head are kind of mostly like personal goals that I want to accomplish. And I'm hoping that maybe by kind of adding this extra incentive, it gets me more motivated to do it. So for example, and every time I complete one of these tasks, it just means that I get to roll for coin. So the amount of coin that I get is not set for each thing. I just get to roll the dice. And so then I could get anywhere from 10 to 100 coins from it. So first up is write 5,000 new words. If I complete 5,000 new words in my book that I am desperately trying to finish, I'll get to roll. Or if I edit 5 chapters, because I am kind of at the point where I'm maybe about halfway through. I wrote some and then now I'm kind of doing a combination of editing and adding new things. And so I don't want to discount the fact that sometimes I'm going to be working and only editing chapters. I'm not going to be putting new words in. But I still want it to be a challenge. So every 5,000 new words or editing 5 chapters will earn a roll for coin. The rest of them are, well, not the rest of them, most of the rest of them are health related goals. So if I lose 5 pounds, every time I walk 5 miles, I will talk about that a little bit more when I do my reading journal video. I'm borrowing an idea from someone that I'm going to put in there, and we're going to talk about that. If I drink water every day for a week, and I mean like drink the amount of water that I specify, like a certain amount of water every day for a week. If I every time I complete a workout that lasted longer than 15 minutes, and as you can tell, these are not like big, crazy goals. It's just a little bit of motivation. Every week that I go sugar-free for the whole week, I get to roll. And then if I complete a household chore that I've been putting off, so something random, not like things that I do every day, but something that that needs to be done that I just haven't got to, and hopefully that'll just kind of give me the motivation to get it done. And then I can add more ideas to that as I go. So I'm going to use this little sheet here each month. I'm just going to write the month, and then there's 10 slots here, so I can put the list of books here, and there's a little thing over here where I can check it off, and then there's a spot for notes down here, so I can put, like, if I roll an advantage or a disadvantage or whatever, I can write about that in the little notes section at the bottom. And then I'll use one of those every month for the campaign. And then I printed a few of these pages, and this is what I'm calling my coin purse. It's nothing fancy. It's just the event. So if it's a side quest, I can just put what it was. And then the amount is whatever I roll. And then I'll put the total, and the total will just be a running total of how many coins that I've earned. And so then in order for me to buy new books, I have to earn 100 coins per book. And that seems like a lot, but whenever I am rolling to figure out how much coin I'm getting, every time I finish a book, I'm going to roll the percentile die. And that will tell me how many coins or points, however you want to look at it, that I earn. So anywhere from 10 to 100. So I can finish a book and roll a 10. I can finish a whole 10 book campaign and only earn one book. Or I can finish a 10 book campaign and roll 100 every time and earn 10 books. I don't know. It just depends on how it works out. Now, this is not going to count for any pre-orders that I've already put in, like Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 8. I've already pre-ordered all of that stuff. So that doesn't count, but in order to go and buy new books, I want to use my points first, and that will make sure that I'm reading the books that I've already purchased, and then it will also make sure that I am being more selective of the books that I am purchasing, because I don't want to lose my own challenge that I set for myself. You know what I mean? The last thing is the roll for 100. And I have this die here that goes to 100. And so what that means is I'm going to have a list of books on my shelf that I have been meaning to get to from 1 to 100. And if I land on that, I'm just going to roll this and see what it lands on. And that I have to read that book. So that's what that is. Now, I thought that in order to help explain the game, and also for me to make sure that the game is going to work like I think it's going to work, because I just like came up with this and haven't tried it at all whatsoever. I thought that we could roll for my January TBR together. So again, step 1 is I have to roll D10 to figure out how many books are going to be in this campaign. Okay, 4. My D4 tells me whether I'm going to do prompts or a combination of like genre and format. Okay, so it's 3, which means that I have to alternate. That means I'm going to do prompts 2 times and format and genre 2 times. So let me go ahead and get those out. Okay, so we're going to do prompts first. 5 is a 25 and 2025 book, so something off of that list. And then next, I'm going to roll my D6 and D12 to figure out format and genre for a book. So that is, I think that one's a 2. Okay, so 2 is a hardcover and 12 is advantage. So that means I get to roll for an advantage already. So that's fun. 5 is a remove a book from the campaign. Okay, so I only have to do 3 instead of 4. Okay, I need to re-roll for my genre though. 1 was a disadvantage. Oh no. 6. Books earn half the coin for this campaign. Wow, this is turning out to be something already, huh? One more time. 2. A YA or middle grades hardcover. Okay, so a 25 in 2025 and a YA hardcover. And now for book 3, because now I only have to do 3. So 5 again. Another 25 and 2025 book. Okay, so I probably deserve that. Okay, so in January, in order to earn my points for the campaign, and I haven't decided, am I going to get an extra roll if I finish the campaign, or am I just immediately going to get a new book but want to do 100? I have to think about that. I have to iron out the rules for myself. So I have a 3-book campaign. 2 of them have to be 25 and 2025 books. 1 of them has to be a YA hardcover, and they all earn half of the amount of money for this campaign. Okay, so let's pick our books. So for my first book, it had to be from my 25 and 2025. I'm going to read When the Moon Hatched. For my YA hardcover, I'm going to be reading Skyward. And my other 25 and 2025 book is going to be Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. So those are going to be my 3 books to complete my campaign. And as I finish them, I get to roll to figure out how much coin that's going to give me. And I'll probably record clips, and then when I roll for my February TBR, at the beginning of that video, I will give an update on how January's campaign went and so on and so forth for the rest of the year. Now, the other 2 books that I am for sure reading this month are One Dark Window, which is our book club pick, and then Alana and I are reading through The Wheel of Time this year. Hopefully I finish the whole thing, but if not, 12 out of the 15 books is fine. Well, 14. I don't know if we're going to go back and read New Spring or not. But anyways, starting with The Eye of the World. I took my dust jacket off. I have the Juniper Books dust jackets, and I definitely don't want those messed up. They were quite expensive. So I did take the dust jacket off, which I don't normally do. But we are going to be reading The Eye of the World. So anyways, this is my for sure TBR for January. And hopefully the explanation of the game made sense. I don't know, it made sense to me in my head, but trying to explain it, I feel like maybe it didn't make as much sense as I thought it did. Now, these printable things that I made, like I said, I printed them small enough to go into my reading journal. This is my 2025 reading journal, but I wanted to do like a little pocket, like make this into a book and then fit it into a little pocket, so I had to print it kind of small. But this can be printed 8.5 by 11. But if you're interested in doing something like this, I can put them on like Google Drive or something and share them. So just let me know down in the comments if that's something that you would be interested in, and I can see if maybe I can do a video where I post the link to get them for anybody that's interested. But y'all might not want to, so I don't know. Let me know and I can do that. I know that some people don't have the different dice. I don't actually play D&D, but I ended up buying like a grab bag kind of thing. I did buy one full set of like a matching set, and then the rest of them is just kind of like a grab bag of them. So there's different ones in there. So that's definitely an option. But if you don't want to buy them, there are plenty of like free apps. I think if you just Google D&D dice or whatever, it just pops it up right there on Google, and you can roll them for free that way. So I think that is everything I needed to explain. Once I decide, you know what, I think I'm just gonna say, if I complete the campaign successfully, I'm just gonna give myself 100 points, which is worth 1 free book. So I think reading 1 to 10 books, especially whenever it's not just picking 1 to 10 books, like I have to meet these prompts, I think that earns at least 1 free book. So that's only giving myself 12 if I complete the campaigns, plus however many I can roll. And you guys know I just did an 80 book haul, so I definitely think that that will make for my book hauls being more interesting, because I'll have to see how many coins I've earned and then like spend the coins and, you know, all of the things. So my hope is that it helps me to read all of these wonderful books that I've bought before going out and buying even more books. Anyways, that is it for now. Hopefully I will see you in another video soon. Hopefully it will be my reading journal setup video, because I'm hoping that I can do that tomorrow. And I will see you then. Bye guys.